guys. I love having a studio audience. Hello, my name is Damian Pelliccione, aka or hashtag your gay media guru. I want to welcome my fabulous live in studio audience today to this week's edition of Boys in Tech and my live online audience. Hello to Dad and everyone watching at home. In this week's edition of Boys in Tech, the internet's only weekly talk show devoted to discussing the gay side of what's trending on the web. In this week's edition of Gays, Gadgets, and Gizmos, we are going to check out a few new products for our furry four-legged friends. Millions of dogs are lost every year, and unfortunately only a small percentage ever return home. But with Finding Rover, you never have to worry about losing your best friend again. The process is simple. Just upload a photo to your lost dog to Finding Rover's facial recognition technology searches for a match in their database of lost dogs in your area. Also, if you find a lost dog, you can snap a photo of the pooch, search for a match in your area, and contact the owner directly through the app. Before long, the dog will be back home. Finding Rover is free and available on iTunes and Android. Is your dog a tad overweight? Fido can't fetch so well anymore? Doggy liposuction a little out of your price range? Well, I found the perfect answer to getting bougie in perfect shape. FitBark is a tiny, smart activity monitor that helps you understand your dog's health and behavior in a way that was never available before. Monitor her progress and take action where appropriate. How is she feeling? How many activity bark points is she getting today? How is she reacting to a life-changing event? FitBark gives you breed-specific guidelines so you can see where she stands compared to the other dogs. You can also share her activity report and keep others posted on how she's progressing. FitBark also inputs from your human fitness tracker if it has an API. They say that dogs sometimes look like their owners. Well, there's no reason why they can't be as active as their owners. FitBark retails for $69 and is available on fitbark.com. You know, I love to take my dogs for long walks around the park, and because I'm the dedicated multitasker, I like to use my time making phone calls and catching up with friends and family. Unfortunately, this can drain a lot of power from my smartphone, especially if it's a long walk. Well, this next device can help solve that problem, and it will charge your phone off the grid using clean, free energy. Lava Solar Charger is the ultimate in off-the-grid power. The 3.5-watt solar panel feeds into a 4,000 mAh lithium polymer battery so that you can keep charging devices and storing power no matter how long you're away from your wall socket. This rugged, rubberized charger folds out to reveal solar panels that can completely recharge a battery in 8 hours or less. 2.1A USB outputs allow for faster recharging of all your devices. Lava Solar Charger retails for $84 and is available on touchofmodern.com. My guests tonight are huge. They're a part of a big team of talented writers who are responsible for HBO's new groundbreaking television show that only just began airing this past January. Looking offers the unfiltered experiences of these close friends living and loving in modern-day San Francisco. The trio's story intertwine and unspool dramatically as they search for happiness and intimacy in an age of unparalleled choices and rights for gay men. Now, let's take a look at a clip from Looking.
What do you do?
Sports medicine.
I should be jealous, right? He stares at world champion torsos the whole day.
Former world champions.
This is so good.
Oh, hey.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
This is Richie.
Hi, Richie. This is my boyfriend, John.
Hey, so are you in video games too?
No, I cut hair, actually.
Oh, right, like, for a living?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for now, but eventually you'll want to, you know, get your own place or something, right?
I will.
A big round of applause, guys, for that. Oh my God, how cool is that? Please welcome to the show, JC, Lee John Hoffman, and the creator, Mr. Michael Lannan himself. Thank you guys so much for being here on Boys in Tech. This is like super exciting to me to have like HBO and like gay HBO, you know, on the show. Now, taking a look at that clip that we just saw, looking as obviously it's set in San Francisco, a city with rich LGBT history. That setting kind of reminds viewers of the early days of, you know, gay rights struggle, yet highlights the current environment where LGBT inclusivity is almost taken for granted. As writers, how do you approach the depiction of the how do you approach the depiction of the city, given its history, comprised of current, you know, more friendly version of this?
Well, thank you for having us, Damian.
Yeah.
So excited to be here. I think San Francisco just seemed like a really exciting place to set the story, for the reasons you already stated, that it is a place with a lot of rich gay history, and also that it's such an important place in our culture. It's sort of a convergence of a lot of important influences, namely tech culture. So I think it was always the goal of ours to do the most contemporary version of San Francisco that we could do, and really show what it's like to sort of be on the streets and ramble through them. And so I think that was one of the guiding factors, was really just to kind of be on the street, walking around with our guys, encountering what they encounter. And, you know, sort of incidentally running across gay history every now and then.
Yeah.
But I think it's always just kind of in the background. Like, we shot at the Stud, which is a place where Harvey Milk used to hold fundraisers. It's a famous old dance club in San Francisco. So I think it's kind of always in the background, that history, but it's really a very contemporary world, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because it's very gritty, it's very raw, it's very real. I mean, a lot of subway stops, a lot of bus stops, a lot of walking, the park. Like, you guys really created a character out of the city of San Francisco. It's kind of, you know, I almost related to like what Breaking Bad did with New Mexico. You guys are kind of, you know, you've achieved that with looking in San Francisco. You know, speaking of San Francisco, in addition to being a gay mecca, the city itself has been on the cutting edge of like technology and like innovation and startups. In fact, the main character, Patrick, is kind of a geeky techie boy himself. You know, his job as a level designer at a tech company. Was it your intention to actually give Patrick this job, like from the moment that you created this character?
Well, I think we always wanted him to have a tech job, a tech-related job. And as we started sort of thinking about it more and talking about it, video games became sort of a really nice kind of world for him to live in.
Yeah.
I think Patrick is someone who has a very technical side and is like quite skilled in sort of a sciencey, geeky kind of way, and yet I also think he has a very kind of creative soul as well, and a level designer is kind of a nice fusion of those things. It involves storytelling. It also involves like physics and you know, graphic design, and I think all those things are kind of things that Patrick is interested in. He's kind of a tinkerer. He has a boyish side to him. He's a very playful side, and I think he's also competitive and likes to win. And he also has some control issues where he likes to create his own world, which works well in a video game company and not so well in your personal life.
In your real world. You know, it's really funny because it's like he talks about when he's walking with Richie about going to like computer camp and things like that, like how that kind of corresponded to where he is today. Like, it was really interesting to me because I related, because I went to computer camp, which I thought was really cool. And I also loved that one scene where they're at the party and he's talking about how he plays as a female character when he games as opposed to a male character, but he like delineates that, no, it's not because I'm gay. That's, you know, there's other guys that would do this. I'm really curious, like, who wrote that line or that little like scene? Where did that come from? Because I was like, I'm right there with you. I'm always Xena Warrior Princess. Like, I loved it.
I do remember that discussion in the room. We were, it was very, like, my partner is a big video game guy and always plays as the woman, and like the warrior,
Yeah.
princess or whatever, and Batgirl particularly. And that brought up the discussion. I think we all were sort of like relating to that and recognized that, or knew people in our sphere that did that. And again, it's just that sort of thing of like being able to share something personal that felt very connected to the particular character of Patrick, but also the story itself, as far as just a gay story where you're sort of like asking questions that you may not have heard asked before.
Yeah.
And I always felt like video games were such a great way for young gay boys to sort of escape into their fantasy world and explore lots of things that they probably don't feel safe exploring in the real world. And I think gender nonconformity is definitely one of those things, whether you're straight or you're gay.
Yeah.
And so there's a fun dialogue to be had with Patrick in that sort of world.
And I have a question. Did any of you guys ever game as female characters?
Yes. Yes, constantly.
I should mention, too, that there's a great book by Tom Bissell, I think I'm saying his name right, called Extra Lives, and he talks about sort of gender identity and playing as females in a game, too. It's a really interesting book that I think inspired us as well.
And it's so true. I have like little cousins who are 7, 8 years old, like male cousins, who love to play as the female character against their friends as opposed to the male character. And I don't know if they're gay or they're straight, but it doesn't matter. It's at all kind of like age levels, that escapism, I think. It's really interesting.
And I really remember vividly when I used to play like Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And I always played as Chun-Li because I was like, because her moves were awesome.
Yeah.
And there was something about in the world of a video game where it's about ability, and I think that that's so true in the tech world.
Yeah.
It's a meritocracy more than any other sphere, and so it's about what you can do.
Yeah.
And I think that when I was playing video games, that was a way of equalizing,
Yeah.
and there's something appealing, I think, for gay people in that.
The title Looking is kind of a play on the vernacular used in many online gay hookup sites. Of course, within the context of the show, the title takes on kind of a deeper meaning. It's reflecting on the characters and their search for themselves and, potentially fulfilling like a relationship. But there are still regular references to technology enhanced dating. Like, you guys talk about OkCupid and Grindr. Was it your intention to play on the gay online hookup culture and kind of turn its expectations, on its head?
Yeah, I mean, I think that technology is such a part of all of our lives now, and it was sort of inevitable that it be threaded through all of our characters. I think we never wanted to do like, this is the Grindr, like, scene, or this is the whatever, the Scruff episode, but I think it just sort of organically came about. Although I do want to do a Fit Bark episode.
I know.
Good,
Isn't that funny?
Now we should.
Finding Rover.
Finding Rover,
I'm
Fit Bark
obsessed with
episode.
that. That's such a good
Yeah,
idea.
so I think it was all treated very organically. Would you guys say? Like,
Well, we were also in the writer's room constantly on those apps and sites. So
I was just about to ask,
No.
which ones are, where can we find your profiles? Grindr, Scruff? No, I'm kidding. You don't have to
Right,
say
exactly. No,
No.
but it was so. I mean, the show is about in many things you're looking for, but one of the key things obviously is looking for connection in some way, and showing like the technology that we have now to sort of like connect, but not really connect. And
Well,
and
it's funny because like
all of
I
those.
remember when Grindr first came out, and it was kind of taboo to be like, oh, I'm hooking up on Grindr, I'm going on a date off of Grindr. But yet, cut to today, you guys are looking at, or you're using it in looking as like kind of a very modernized term. It's not taboo anymore to walk through the park, like in that scene with Dom, and the kid comes up and says, "Hey, is this you?" I'm like, that wouldn't have happened even like 5-6 years ago, but today it's pretty normal. And then even the other one too, about him being 40 and being off of Grindr. I laughed at that because there is kind of an ageism there.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that in the writers' room about how nowadays, like I'm Patrick's age and I'm Augustine's age, and
Yeah.
I grew up like my primary way of interfacing with other guys is through apps.
Yeah.
Like that's the way you meet the people you're going to date. That's the way you're going to find the people you're going to hook up with. So that's the way I interface with them.
Yeah.
And it's so integral to sort of the culture now. I don't think just gay culture. I think all culture.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's just inevitable that it would organically come up in the way that we talked about our guys.
Yeah, and OkCupid is like generally straight. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
gay. You know, and
Yeah.
I love that you guys threw that in there.
And there's the two sides of it, which is the grinder side, which is the quickie sort of detached connection that you can have in that way. And then there's the OkCupid side, which is like you feel like you know everything about the person before you're even connecting with them in some
Right.
way. So it's both sides of that, which I found really interesting for our stories.
And I remember the day that we were talking about calling the show Looking. John went home the night before and went on Craigslist and found all these ads that said like looking for this,
No
looking for that,
way!
and
Oh,
we went through
wow.
and listed all of them. I think we actually put them up on the wall in the writers'
That's
room.
right.
Because it was just
And then it was obvious.
shocking.
Yeah, and it
right?
was
Like,
amazing.
that's so
It was amazing.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's true.
I mean, seeing that the characters can be seen as conglomerates, you know, of the writer's own personality and experiences, do you ever worry about including a particular scene or an embarrassing moment in fear of a friend or an ex that might have recognized one of those awkward moments on the show? And if so, what are they and what happened?
Nobody's recognized anything yet. I don't.
No, I'm shocked.
No, I think,
I know.
Now we know who put it on the bus. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
no,
I think
seriously.
people strangely tend not to recognize those moments when they're watching.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know why that is, but I don't know. Well, I guess it can go both ways. Sometimes they're like, that's me, but it's actually not them at all. Or they, like, you know, giant red flags can pass by and they'll be like, oh, wow, that was a terrible thing that character did, even though they probably did it.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes.
See, and that's the funny thing too, is like every gay man, like at one moment or not, like recognized, like I've done that, I've been there. We totally relate, which I thought was really interesting. But it's funny because you have these three different character types, and they're totally different from each other, but yet you kind of like run the gamut of all different gay culture, which I found really interesting. What kind of research did you guys do for that? And, you know, any kind of inspirations? You know, specifically use a lot of Latin culture in the show.
I think a lot of that is just from the people who were in the room. Like, two of the writers in the room are of color, and I think that it just became the story we were telling. Everything we thought about in the room always came, I think, from a character perspective of like, who are these guys? What do they need at this moment? And what is the best way to serve their story? And so that's where sort of we broach a lot of subjects, I think, just because that's the story we wound up telling.
But it's so great, it's so real to like today. You know, San Francisco is probably one of the most diverse cities in North America, both culturally but also in the gay community. You know, so I love the fact that it's not just an all-white cast, you know, that you show the diversity within the community at all aspects. You know, of the episodes that you guys individually, you know, kind of particularly influenced in writing, what's your favorite scene or line, and what do they say about you as a writer?
John?
Oh.
We'll go down the line.
Okay, we'll go down the line.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be a spoiler for the episode that's coming up this Sunday, which is the one I sort of was primarily in charge of writing. But it was a really cool thing to be able to sort of kind of fulfill the big thread that Michael started with Patrick's mother, that hangs over the series like a specter, the season rather. And so to be able to sort of like delve into that relationship a little bit more, that's all the teaser you're going to get about
I was
that.
going to say, spoiler alert! Give it to... No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't
But
give
that
it
was
away.
cool. That was cool to be able to sort of go there.
What about you, JC?
My favorite line in the season is not one that I wrote. It's in episode 3, and Dom and Lynn are in the bathhouse, and Lynn is describing what the bathhouse used to be like, and he has this great line that says, it was really fun, and then it wasn't. And I feel like that's such a beautiful way of summing up so much of what gay people went through. And I think it also perfectly encapsulates the way our show deals with like gay history and gay culture.
Definitely.
It's like a very simple way of expressing it, but also really profound and I think beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. That actually is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, in the TV show. I absolutely love that. Michael.
I don't know. There's so many scenes that I like, but I think in the pilot there's a scene where Richie and Patrick meet on the train that I particularly like, and I don't know if there's a line, but Richie says pretty blue eyes drink 2 for 1, and I just love the way that Raoul performed that, and the way that he and Jonathan performed that scene, and just I think it's so exciting the way that paths can cross in the city, and you can go down this path that you just never saw yourself going down, and if you're willing to take that chance. And so that's one of my favorite scenes in the series.
Yeah, definitely. It's very much like a chance encounter. That I when you start watching the show, you don't think like it comes out of nowhere kind of thing. But then it's such a beautiful, true element to the series. I loved it. I've had tons of those, and now I don't anymore. Someone just tweeted us a question. The sex scene, a couple of episodes, was pretty groundbreaking. Any reservations about putting that on the program?
I think one of the, I'm talking to the audience out here, right, in the camera?
Yeah.
Hi, Twitter, thank you for tweeting us that question. Anyway, I think that one of the goals of the show was always to have a very kind of frank sexual side. And I think if it's episode 5 that the tweeter is referring to,
Twatter.
I don't know how you say that, but Andrew Hagar, amazing director, executive producer, kind of created this episode 5 and created this beautiful scene between Richie and Patrick that has some very kind of explicit and great sex in it, and so I think. No, I don't think we had any reservations about it. It was kind of the kind of thing we always hoped we could do in the show.
I'll tell you, I watched it with my mom. I showed her the whole season, up till, and she's in the audience today, but she loved it. She thought it was great.
Nice.
She wasn't uncomfortable because I think the way that you approach it is definitely in a realistic and beautiful,
My grandma's really into it too.
All right, is she? Awesome.
She's really
But what's
into
up
it.
next for you guys as writers, and where can we find you on the web?
Down the line?
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry.
Okay, I'm at Johnny Hoffman on Twitter, I guess. Okay, and I'm working again for HBO on a film for HBO based on this Vanity Fair article, and hopefully going back to looking soon.
Awesome.
I'm also on Twitter at JCLee1230, and right now I'm working on season 4 of Girls.
Wow, you're working on Girls? That's
for a
so
little bit,
cool.
yep.
That's awesome. Congrats.
I'm on Twitter as well at Michael Lannan, we're hoping for a season 2, so keeping my fingers crossed.
Everyone
for that.
watch and tweet and hashtag, right? We're trying to give you some promotional love.
Absolutely.
Until then, just hanging out, going to Mexico.
Going to Mexico, taking a break from very long. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Big round of applause for them. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's show. Thank you to my live audience. Thank you to my online audience. We hope that you enjoyed it. Tune in next week, next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. We've got Jeff Davis, the creator and head writer of MTV's hit series Teen Wolf. I know there's a ton of people waiting to ask him fanfare questions. So tweet us your questions at Boys in Tech, at Damian Media, and stay tuned and keep watching Boys in Tech. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit subscribe right down here. Leave your comments right down there and thumbs up and like us. We've got prizes for our subscribers. So stay tuned, we've got more in store for you here on youtube.com/boysintech.